And welcome into SportsZone. I'm your host, Steven Lucero. I'm joined by Jack Shrupsha and Sean Hunley. And we're going to talk some Dallas Stars hockey. The season, at long last, is kicking off tonight against the Nashville Predators. But first, I want to talk about the preseason. Jack, I'm going to start with you. 5-0-1. It was really an incredible start for the Stars. What did you thought about the preseason?
Yeah, absolutely. Winning 5 out of 6 games was really impressive in the preseason. A few guys stuck out to me. I think Logan Stankoven, who was a top 6 forward for the Stars last year, and he really displayed why he should continue to be there for this upcoming season for them. Getting 5 points in the 4 games that he played, I think is really impressive stuff. So, winning 5 out of 6 games, really impressive, and I'm excited to see if they could take in some of that momentum into the season tonight against Nashville.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. I mean, I thought Stankoven looked really, really good. I saw a lot of line changes, obviously, from the Stars, but, I think that's DeBoer trying to figure out who's going to fit in with who goes where, and I think he's, got that pretty good and down, ready to go for the first game. I think the Stars team is poised and ready to win a cup this year, Steven.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to hear that. This is a team that's been so close for so many years. And, I think this type of good start in the preseason, I think it can make a difference. Jack, do you think they can carry this momentum into game 1?
Oh, absolutely. Something I was going to mention, I think the window for winning a championship is wide open for Dallas. I think last year they were one of the most balanced teams in the NHL, and I think they are going to be that this year. Bringing in guys like Matt Dumba, Colin Blackwell, just some veteran presence through free agency. And then you still got those young stars like Wyatt Johnston, Miro Haskin, and already said Wyatt Johnson, but Rope Hintz as well. I think Dallas is a great team, and I think they're going to be able to roll with it this year.
Yeah, definitely. And you talked about some of those off-season additions. I wanted to ask you about that, Sean, too. You brought in some guys, lost some guys too, but what would you say were some of your best and biggest additions for the Stars?
Obviously, I'm going to say Matt Dumba just because, they needed a right-handed shot, and, that kind of puts Miro back on his natural side. So I can't wait to see that, that kind of moves over to the regular season. I think it's going to be really well. Also, just adds a lot of depth to that defensive side. They really didn't have to make a lot of changes. But bringing in guys like Labushkin and Blackwell, as you mentioned earlier. But you've also got some young guys in Liam Bixel and Maverick Bork, too, that have been kind of, rising through the ranks in the AHL. So I think the Stars are, like you said, really well balanced, and that's going to be fantastic. Especially if somebody gets hurt, you've got somebody to slide right in that spot. Just keep the roster balanced.
Yeah, definitely. Jack, on that, you got a lot of new guys. You got some young players as well. A lot of young players made the team right out of training camp, right out of preseason. Mm-hmm. What of those young guys do you think could really make a difference for this team?
I think you mentioned he hit it right on the head with the guys he was talking about, Bixel, like some guys. I don't know. I think we'll have to wait later on in the season for them to really make an impact because they got their core guys right now. But like you mentioned, if a guy gets hurt, slide him into the 3rd or 4th line. Could very well make a difference for them. So, like a lot of the guys Sean mentioned, I could see any of those guys sliding in and making a difference for Dallas.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to watch. Sean, of all these new guys, who do you think is going to make the biggest impact for the Stars team?
I don't know if I can say a new guy because, I'm saying Logan Stankoven all the way. It's his first full rookie year. Mm-hmm. I want to see what he's going to do. Obviously, I think he's going to have a monster year. But, possibly Liam Bixel late in the season, maybe playoffs, maybe he could have an impact, if somebody gets hurt. What is Labushkin going to do? What is Nils Lundqvist going to do? They traded a first-round pick for him. So how is he going to step up? Not necessarily new, but what are these guys that have been here, what are they going to do?
Yeah, I loved what you said there, especially with Stankoven, a guy that, he feels like a veteran almost, even though he's only played for like half a year. He came in, really made a quick impact, much like Wyatt Johnston did a few years back. That Joe Pavelski influence still there, even though as he's departed. So I'll let you expand, Jack, on Stankoven and some of these young guys. Do you think they can really take on this bigger role going into year 2 or 3?
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't be shocked if you look at Johnston and Stankoven being like 2 of the top scorers for Dallas this year. You got guys like Jamie Benn and Sagan kind of getting towards the tail end of their careers, getting on the older side. I think we saw Johnston really just erupt on their playoff run last year, and I think he'll be able to carry that in. Wouldn't be shocked at all if he's their top goal scorer this year. Really excited to see if he's able to carry on that momentum from the playoffs. And Stankoven, like you mentioned, just only playing half a year. So seeing him play a full year, get that under his belt, sky's the limit.
It's going to be very exciting to watch. But I do want to preview tonight. Nashville Predators, it came so fast, and here we go. Puck drop. It's going to get the season off to an exciting start. Sean, how are you feeling about this game, and what do the Stars need to do to make sure to get a win?
Absolutely. I'm very excited. The one thing I will say is Nashville, they got a lot of players in the offseason, big players too. Barry Trotz was killing it. You got Steven Stamkos, you got Brady Shea. You've also, I keep forgetting this one name, but either way, Barry Trotz made a lot of big splashes in the offseason. So it's going to be interested to see what Nashville is going to do on their defensive side. But for the Stars, I mean, Wyatt Johnston got it going in his first game as a Star against Nashville. I think he's going to be an X factor. I want to see what Stankoven's going to do in that first line with Hintz and Robertson. I think the Stars, if they just push the offensive pressure on Nashville, pepper Scott Wedgwood, the former Star, early, I think they can take a pretty good win out of this.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of players to look to, obviously. You mentioned a lot of them there. Jack, I'll let you expand on that. Who do you see, really needing to step up? And he talked about Robertson, too, a guy that missed most of training camp, missed the preseason with injury. Do you think he's going to be ready to go in week 1?
You certainly hope so, being a Stars fan, because Jason Robertson, one of the better scorers in the league. I believe it was said that he is going to be good to go tonight. And if he is, he's obviously going to be a guy that gets looked at being one of the better scorers for Dallas. But you mentioned all the guys being brought in for Nashville through free agency, guys like Stamkos, Marchessault, and some of those other guys. Yeah. So I think an X factor is going to have to be guys like Miro Heiskanen, one of the best defender, or the best defender on the Stars in my opinion. And then guys like Ottinger, I think they really run through him when he's making saves, stealing games for them. So if they're able to go into Nashville and play really great defensively, I think they'll be able to get a win out of tonight.
Yeah. Before you switch over to that next point, I mean, that's exactly what I was going to say. What is Ottinger going to do? I mean, injuries kind of affected him last year. He went to the All-Star game, and I thought he was going to, boost his confidence, but he just kind of didn't really go to that next level. So what is he going to do this year? I mean, it's like you said, that team runs through Jake Ottinger. So if he can hold it down this year and make some, have some great games, I think the Stars are going to be right there.
Yeah, that's a big point there, because Jake Ottinger is a guy that I think has established himself as the top goalie in the league. We've seen his performances in the playoffs, but I think every now and then there's still, he still shows his age. He's still a young guy, and, I think if he can continue to develop behind improved, I would say, defense, I think that's going to be a part of it too. So I'll go to you, Jack. How are you feeling about the defensive depth, some of the new guys, and how do you think they're going to be able to help defend for Ottinger?
Yeah, we talked about Dumba a little bit earlier. Even though he is a little older, I think having like a physical presence to play alongside like a guy who could play chip in offensively with Heiskanen, I think it's going to be a real good combination there on the defensive side. And I'm a big fan of Thomas Harley. He's another do-it-all defender for Dallas. He could chip in offensively. Also a big body who could throw it around if he wanted to as well. So I'm a big fan of the depth Dallas has all across the board. So, I mean, as long as they just stay healthy and stick to the hockey that Pete DeBoer knows how to coach and they know how to play, I think this is their division to lose this year.
Yeah, I agree. Lindell, Harley, two really big guys that you got re-signed right before the season. Not super expensive deals like I think you maybe expect. Still young guys, but I think they can really make a big impact. Sean, how are you feeling about the defensive lines?
I mean, the big thing with the Stars last year, the way they were able to just dominate in the Central Division was they stayed healthy almost the entire season. There wasn't very many big injuries, and so I think the Stars, if they keep playing that, by the grace of God, if they get lucky and nobody gets hurt, I think this team is just going to keep rolling. I mean, they were so close last year, and that loss to Edmonton really, really hurt. So, the big thing is, how is this team going to do on the penalty kill, especially in the playoffs? I mean, Edmonton killed us on power plays. So, how are they going to kind of surround Jake Ottinger to make sure that more pucks don't get in his face, so he doesn't get hit in the mask? That's really what I'm going to focus on, especially tonight.
Yeah, and I think, mentioning that's kind of been the story of the Stars. They've had such great seasons, great playoff runs, but they keep coming up just short. And that seems like that's kind of been Peter DeBoer's MO, unfortunately, getting all the way to the conference finals, but not quite to the cup. So this year, I know it's just week 1, but Jack, can this Stars team make a deep run once again and go all the way back to the Stanley Cup?
Yeah, I believe they can. Really deep team. Their veterans are still playing at a high level. I think Jamie Benn's played better last year than he has in seasons past. And then you got guys like Wyatt Johnston on the come up, Stankoven, who we talked about a bunch this segment. And then those new additions, if they step up the way, or they come in and play the way we think they're going to play, then I think they absolutely can make a run. And they got to get a cup before the Sagan and Ben era's over. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I mean, like you mentioned, Peter DeBoer. He's got a track record of getting to the Cup final and just can't close it out. He did it with San Jose. He did it early on in his career with New Jersey. I think he's so close, and I think he's got the team to do it. The question is, can he finish? I want him to stay here. NHL coaches don't last very long, so. We'll see. He's got to win it, though. I want him to. I'm praying for it.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to watch. I can't wait to see this season get started tonight against the Predators. But for now, we're going to switch over to a different star and talk about some Dallas Cowboys football.
I'm so tired. I feel ugly. I'm not okay. I didn't know UNT had counseling services. Maybe I should check it out. This looks like the place.
There's no harm in wanting to have fun while in college, but it's easy to lose track of how much you've had. Apps like Drink Control and Alkadroid can help keep track of your consumption and blood alcohol levels. If you or someone else does drink too much, the signs of alcohol poisoning are as follows: pale skin, vomiting, confusion, low body temperatures, irregular breathing, blacking out, and it's hard to wake up or cannot be woken up.
Dude, are you okay? Hey, what's wrong? Wake up.
It's an exciting time of year, but it's important to be responsible. If you suspect someone is suffering from alcohol poisoning, get help immediately. You will not get in trouble for seeking help if you are underage. For more info and resources, go to UNT's Division of Student Affairs.
Welcome back to Sports Zone. I am joined by Mason Branham and Jay Lathan, and we're going to talk some Dallas Cowboys football. Such an exciting game, you know, a two-day event. Didn't really see that coming, but Jay, I'll start with you. What were your thoughts on this game?
Oh man, if you stayed up for it, you also had a hard time staying awake for it. This was a real slugfest of a game. I mean, just a real defensive battle, but I mean, if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, you're kind of used to these type of games at this point. But, I mean, talk about a coming-out party for Rico Dowell, and then you also had Kavontae Turpin, and you had Jalen Tolbert stepping up for the injured Brandon Cooks. And, I mean, it was ugly, but the Cowboys got a win.
Yep, they sure did, and that was really just the story of the game. You know, it was slow at first, got going. Mason, what were your thoughts on this contest?
I mean, kind of like what Jay said, you know, it was one of those knockout, drag-out brawls. I mean, obviously the rain really played into it. I mean, of course, I made the joke of, we're really watching a football game at midnight? What is this? But, yeah, no, I think defense, you know, T.J. Watt had another career game. I think this game he reached 100 career sacks, which he's one of the fastest players to ever do that. So shout out to T.J. carrying on the Watt name legacy. But, yeah, it was just a very defensive battle. Good to see. You know, a lot of people like one of those offensive games, you know, shootouts, but I kind of like more of a little bit of a defensive game. So it was good to see a defensive battle this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Watt made a big difference, really put some early pressure on the Cowboys, forced some mistakes from Dak Prescott. But in the end, the Steelers, you know, weren't able to quite take full advantage, you know, and I'll let you talk about that. What do you think went wrong for the Steelers, you know, and not really able to capitalize on their turnovers?
There's a crucial flaw that I noticed while watching this game with Justin Fields, and it's a quality that every quarterback needs to have. His anticipation when it comes to throws is not there at all. He throws guys as they're open, not making them open, and I think that causes a real problem there. And the pass rush was definitely causing an issue for them, and I mean, they just have to lean on their run game and their defense, and when teams get going, it's a real problem because it just tires out your defense.
Definitely. And then back to the Cowboys side, Mason. Dak, you know, had this game. 3 turnovers. You look at that and it's like, not great, but also leads an incredible game-winning drive. What were your thoughts overall on Dak's performance?
I mean, yeah, you know, he had the big turnovers. That's played a key role into the Steelers staying in the game. But I think that last drive kind of talked about how good of a player he's been this year, you know. Kind of slow start in the first half, kind of had a little bit of frustration with CD. You know, you saw a couple clips of him, CD on the sideline, kind of expressing his frustration. But it's good to see Dak, you know, step out of that zone that he was kind of struggling in. Good second half, and I think this is something you need to build on, especially with San Fran coming up. It's going to be a big game for Dak. I think he needs to go out and go kind of play the second half for the whole game. I think that's going to be key for him.
Yeah, definitely. You said the 49ers coming up, the Lions next week. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But, Jay, I want to let you expand there. You know, you have this spot where it's like Dak, you know, it depends, you know, later in the game has really been able to step up. But it's the other guys I think that are important too. CeeDee Lamb has been really able to get going early and not late, sort of the opposite of Dak. What do you think it's going to take for them to get on the same page for the full game?
For the full game, they're just going to have to, like, get along. I mean, CeeDee Lamb had 4 catches in the first half, 1 in the second half. Like, that being your multi-million-dollar highest-paid receiver and your number 2 is down, you got to lean on that guy, and you can't lean on that guy, which is going to become a real issue as it progresses later in the season. And, I mean, if Dak's gonna dig himself in these holes, he has to get himself out. I mean, he's your franchise guy, and he wouldn't be a player in this league if he couldn't get himself out of said holes. But I mean, that's been the narrative of his whole career, not being able to take care of the ball. I mean, since he's been in the league since 2016, he's 5th place in turnovers, and that's just been the narrative of his entire career, that he can't take care of the ball.
Yeah, the turnovers, I think they've definitely been better over the past couple of years, but when you see a game like this, it's like you kind of fall back into that, and it's like, man, is this fixed, or is it still questionable? I liked what you said, though, about Dowdle and Tolbert, guys stepping up, and I'll let you expand on that, Mason. What do you think it's going to take for these guys to continue to kind of keep this momentum going, and do you think they can really be big players going forward?
Well, obviously, with Cooks out, that was a really big injury, and I think if CD, starts to kind of keep that struggle bus, trying to get open, not really able to get the targets and receptions that he needs, you need guys like Dowell and Tolbert. I mean, good games from both of them. We had Dowell had 20 carries for 87 yards. He also had a receiving touchdown. Tolbert with 7 catches, 87 yards, had the big touchdown late. I think those are two guys that you're going to look for at this offense. If CD's kind of having a frustrating game, if Cooks is still injured, if Ferguson's not really performing, those are two guys that I think you can look to the offense and rely on.
Yep, definitely. And then, Rico Dowdle, a guy that we've talked about the run game all this time, it hasn't been able to do anything. And he nearly stopped my heart with that last fumble, I'll be honest. But he definitely got going today. And I hope that he can continue to carry that momentum going forward, especially amidst all these injuries. You talked about it on the offense, Brandon Cooks. On the defense, Marshawn Nealon goes down, Tyler Guyton back on the offense too. A lot of injuries. And Jay, do you think that they're going to be able to get these guys to continue to step up, or do you think anyone else needs to really step up in these injuries?
Well, I mean, it's gonna be a must step up for them to succeed in this. And I mean, Guyton coming back is gonna be major. I mean, this isn't the same offensive line of Dallas that we're used to, of historically being the great wall that can just move guys. I mean, right now they have the 2nd worst rushing attack in the league, only 8 yards, only 8 yards from being dead last. So I mean, the people are gonna have to step up, like a Tolbert, like a Turpin, to just figure out how they're going to chug this offense into the playoffs.
Yep, definitely. And Jalen Tolbert, a guy, a former 3rd-round pick, he's gotten a lot of hype over the years, but he hasn't really performed so much. Mason, do you think this was his coming out party with that game-winning touchdown?
Yeah, I definitely think it was one of those kind of coming out parties. I mean, obviously he's been kind of like a receiver 3, receiver 4 with Cooks and Lamb, but now that Lamb isn't really getting a lot of targets and Cooks is hurt, Ferguson again he's still playing a good role, but I think Tolbert, he's been one of those guys to make that step up, saying, hey, we see, you got your multi-million-dollar receiver that isn't playing well or isn't getting a lot of targets. Let me go out there, step up, and win this game for us. And I think that really spoke. I mean, it's also just the toughness. I mean, the play before the touchdown, he got hurt, and I can't remember if it was the Cowboys or the Steelers, they called timeout.
They both did, yeah.
Yeah, and they went back out, and he went back out and said, no, I'm playing. I am playing on this play. And he went out there, made a catch, and won the game. So I think that just speaks to the level player that he is.
Yeah, absolutely. Jalen Tolbert, I mean, when you have a game like that and a finish like that, I mean, that's everything you look for in a young guy, especially someone who's had to step into that wide receiver 2 role. But, we're going to have to move on from this game. As exciting as it was, we got to move on to the Lions week. Obviously, this is coming up, a big game for the Cowboys. See if they can get that first home win. Jay, what's it going to take to get it done?
Most definitely Detroit. Detroit wants their get back after what happened in the playoffs there. And I mean, just all the chaos that happens. And Detroit is a fun team, and they're going to expand you and stretch you in ways that you never thought before. And I think that the physicality is going to be one of the biggest issues that they're going to have to face, as Amon-Ra and Jamison Williams. They're guys that not only can stretch you downfield, but they also like to get in your face, block, and run for that elite running back duo they have with Gibbs and Montgomery.
Yeah, they have so much offensively, both in the passing attack and the running game. The Cowboys' defense has been better over the last couple weeks, and I'll credit them for that, but this is definitely an offense unlike the last two they've had to face. Mason, what's it going to take for this defense to hold up, and do you think they can hold up?
Well, I mean, the first thing they're going to have to do is limit the big plays. I mean, we know how the offense is for the Lions. They're always one of those big explosive plays. And I mean, MCDC, he's one of the most aggressive coaches I think NFL has ever seen. So for him to go out there and, he's going to be aggressive. He's going to get those 4th and 1s, 4th and 2. He's going to go for it. I mean, last year you saw the game, how it ended, with the controversial 2-point play. Was he eligible? Was he not? We still don't know. But I just think, you know, Cowboys, they got to go off to a hot start. They can't slug it out. It's going to be a brawl. I think that's going to be a play. I think also you got limited turnovers. I mean, obviously Prescott had 3 turnovers last game. Didn't really hurt him as much, but against a team like Detroit, that's definitely going to hurt him. So I think if you limit the turnovers, start fast, and the backups that are playing for injuries, I think if they step up, it's going to be a good game.
Yeah, they're both going to want this. You know, the Lions are 3-1 team. You said, you know, some frustration, especially with the Cowboys, maybe some bad blood after checking in or not. But do you think the Lions, you know, they're going to come out ready, but do you think the Cowboys can get this first home win, and do you think they'll be able to respond offensively?
I mean, I think they can offensively. I think they'll have to get out fast, get out early, but I feel like the biggest key here is that they're going to have to slow down Aiden Hutchinson. Not completely stop him. That's not going to happen. He's Aiden Hutchinson, especially after they have a good warm-up with T.J. Watt in there, and this offensive line is going to have to go through some elite pass rushers in the NFC. But that's going to be the biggest thing, is slowing down Aiden Hutchinson, and if they can get a win here at home, that'll boost their confidence going forward.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to watch the Cowboys, see if they can get this finally first home win. We'll have to watch, but obviously Cowboys-Lions going to be a great game. But for now, we're going to switch over to the MLB and talk about some more playoff race.
Willis Library, located at the University of North Texas. It has computers, printers, and the building is open 24/7. By going online, you can book up to an hour of reserved space and one of the many private study rooms. Many of them are equipped with whiteboards, a table, and a TV to hook up to your computer. Textbooks can be checked out for free with a student ID. They also have many of these in ebook forms. This is still a library, so always remember to be quiet and respectful of other surroundings, especially in certain places where talking is not allowed. For example, the 3rd and 4th floor are completely quiet. As you can see, Willis Library has many options for students, with it offering many media sources and staying open all the time.
Hey Alex, this guy on the internet says he wants to give me money.
That sounds suspicious.
What do you mean?
Typically, strangers who promise you money on the internet have their own best interest in mind. They often use bounced checks, which will disappear shortly after depositing, but not before they've asked for some money in return.
So he doesn't really want to spoil me?
No.
Well, then what should I do?
The best way to handle it is to block and report the suspicious message, or even consult local law enforcement if you've already fallen victim.
So I guess we aren't going to Key West for spring break.
No.
Welcome back to Sports Zone. I'm your host, Steven Lucero. I'm joined by Tina Orozco and Timothy Scott. We're going to talk about the MLB playoffs. Obviously, the race heating up. You know, lots going on, lots still to be determined. But we're going to get right into it, and I want to start with the Tigers-Guardians series. The Tigers up 2-1 right now. Timothy, I'll start with you. How are you feeling about this series?
Yeah, this is going to be, I mean, this is a 50-50 series. You know, the game started already today. Cleveland's up 1-0. Just happened to know that. But, I mean, this is a series been dominated by pitching. I mean, Detroit's held Cleveland to, like, up until just now, no runs in the last 20 innings. And Cleveland's held Detroit to just 6. So it is lockdown pitching on both ends. It's going to be an exciting finish regardless of who wins.
Yeah, it's exciting to see a good old-fashioned pitching matchup. Two scrappy teams. I mean, the Tigers coming off this, you know, trade deadline resurgence where, you know, they look like sellers, but now all of a sudden they're competitors. And, you know, the Guardians, I think one of the more underrated teams so far. Tina, what are your thoughts on this series, and who do you think is going to pull out the win?
I think it is going to come down to the pitching. They have Tanner Bybee pitching tonight, and he's done fantastic. The Tigers have a lot of trust in him, and especially with the Guardians, they have not been very successful offensively. So I think the Tigers can take the win tonight and continue on.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Obviously, with a win, they move on. Guardians, we'll see if they can tie it up. But moving on to the next series, Royals and Yankees. You know, this is a series where, once again, you have this Royals team that came from, you know, just off a 100-loss season, you know, and now all of a sudden they're performing. They're surging. But you're going against the Yankees, and, you know, those Bronx Bombers are never going to be an easy, you know, matchup. Obviously, they have that star power. What are your thoughts? I'll start with you this time, Tina, on this series.
The next game they have Garrett Cole starting. Hopefully he will come out and perform for the Yankees. If not, I think that's going to be a really big loss for them if Garrett Cole doesn't come out and perform well. And hopefully Judge kind of gets out of the slump that he's in by this next game, or else we're kind of done. And Giancarlo Stanton has been remained pretty consistent for the Yankees, and hopefully that'll come through this next game. And I think they have a chance of winning if Garrett Cole, as well as the first half of their lineup comes through.
Yeah, definitely. The Yankees do have that 2-1 lead, so a little bit of an advantage. But yeah, you spoke on it, Judge. So these guys, we know what they're capable of, and they haven't quite been, maybe what we would want to see from them as, I guess if you're a Yankees fan, of course. But Timothy, do you think that this Yankees team can get back on track and really finish off this series in a big way?
Oh, certainly. I mean, you got Michael Wacha pitching for Kansas City, and he's an experienced veteran, but he got rocked around a bit in Game 1. And so if New York can jump on him early like they did in Game 1, I think they certainly come out of this series with the win. But on the flip side, Kansas City also rocked up Garrett Cole a bit, So if they can jump on him early in the same way, I think it'll be a battle of the bullpens at that point. And that plays to New York's hand better than Kansas City's.
Yeah, definitely. Bobby Witt's been such an X factor for the Royals. I mean, they've come in and really proved themselves on this stage. But obviously, the Yankees, it's going to be a lot. See if they can really get through it and on to the next round. But moving on, maybe the series of all series, the Padres and the Dodgers. They're right now tied up 2-2. I'm not sure how this one's going to finish. I mean, Tatis's performance has been incredible. Shohei Ohtani's been up and down. Timothy, what are your thoughts on this series?
I think this is the X Factor series of the playoffs. I think the winner of this series will eventually win the National League. This is an emotional rivalry, right? Both teams playing for a lot. Padres trying to prove to their haters that they're a legit team. The Dodgers trying to stave off the claims of frauds, right? They've not been able to move past the NLDS in the last 2 postseasons. But I think for them, if LA can defend Dodger Stadium tonight, that'll be key for them to get the win and win the series.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be so exciting. Tina, what are your thoughts on this series?
I think the energy and the tensions are already so high, obviously from Profar's rob of Mookie, the trash throwing, Manny Machado, all of that. I don't know if that's going to take away the focus from the game for both teams, obviously, but maybe they will thrive in both tensions. Yu Darvish is pitching tonight. Last game I think he only gave up 1 run over 7 innings, so it's pretty good for him. Hopefully he kind of does good for the Padres, but obviously the Dodgers, Mookie Betts has come out of his slump with like a 2-run home run, and he's on it recently. So I think it is going to be up to the pitching tonight.
Yeah, it's been such an exciting and passionate series. Reminds me a little of the Astros-Rangers last season, just that bitter rivalry. But a guy, everyone's talking about is Shohei Ohtani. Really started off strong. He hasn't been quite as good as of late. Timothy, what do you think it's going to take for him to really prove himself, get on track, and bring this home for the Dodgers?
I think for Ohtani, it's got to start with getting on base. He struggled with that. That's been his slumps. But also, if he can find a way to deliver in the clutch, that'll be good for him and his confidence, as well as the faith in the Dodger fans, right? He's someone that so far hasn't proven himself to be a clutch hitter. So I think if you can find a moment tomorrow, to get that big-time moment, big-time hit, I think that'll do wonders for his confidence going forward.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. He's been great in games 1 and 4, 2 and 3, sort of had a little bit of a slump. Tina, do you think he's going to really be able to be that difference maker for the Dodgers, or do you look for someone else to step up?
I think they shouldn't rely on just Shohei Ohtani. Yeah. Obviously, the whole entire offensively and defensively, just the entire team, and not so much focus on Ohtani. Obviously, we know what he's capable of, but it shouldn't just rely on Ohtani and maybe a bit of everybody.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of factors. I mean, Freeman's been a little banged up. Mookie Betts obviously is Mookie Betts. Teoscar Hernandez has had some great performances. I want to switch over to the Padres real quick, though, Timothy. What's it going to take for them to go and take this series?
For the Padres, it's going to take Manny Machado. He's been up and down this series. You need him to step up today and deliver as the leader of the team. We've seen him show that leadership, maybe not in the correct way, but he's definitely one of the guys they rely on. So you need him to step up. And then also your bullpen. The Dodgers bullpen, you expect Darvish to do well, but the Padres bullpen's got to shut it down, and that's a tough offense to lock down. But if their bullpen and Machado can shine tonight or tomorrow, I think they definitely take the series.
Yeah, it's going to be such an exciting finish tomorrow night. We'll definitely be watching. But I want to move on to the one series that has finished, the Mets and the Phillies. This is a series where I think a lot of guys really thought the Phillies, really were going to finally make it back, finally go all the way. But they go out early, 3-1. Not a sweep, but, that's not what you want to see as a Phillies fan. The Mets, though, they've surged also, really gotten off to a, very strong and, late finish. What do you think on this series, and why do you think the Mets came away with it so strongly, Timothy?
For me, I think two things. Number one, the Mets pitching. I mean, Philly was a top 5 offense in baseball this year, scoring over 5 runs a game, and the Mets held them to 2 in the last 2 games, right? So the Mets pitching has been shut down for them. That's a key point. Also, the Mets stars are stepping up when it means most. Francisco Lindor and Pete Alonso, both have had their clutch moments this playoffs. Both are stepping up when their team needs it the most. And if they continue to do that, there's not a team hotter than the Mets right now.
Yeah, I mean, that Lindor Grand Slam sent the whole city of brotherly loves to sleep. It was just insane. I'll go to you, Tina. What do you think really went wrong for the Phillies?
Maybe they just didn't have their team together this year and just not so much confidence against the Mets. They obviously had a great regular season, and it just didn't quite go out through the postseason. And I think just the Mets have great offensively. They just have their stars.
Yeah, it was an interesting series, and obviously Phillies fans, they can cry me a river. So we're gonna move on though. Preview this championship series. We don't know obviously yet, but this is a Mets team that's really performed well. They're gonna get the Padres or the Dodgers though. Do you think they can really step up and compete against one of these two teams, Timothy?
I don't know. It's so tough. The Mets are red hot, but it depends on. I think it depends on how the Padres or Dodgers turn the emotion from this Game 5 into the next series, right? It's going to be a lot for them. It's going to be emotional. But I think if you can harness that energy and take the confidence from that win into the NLCS, I don't know if the Mets can stop that.
Yeah, it's going to be really seriously interesting to watch. Tina, what are your thoughts on that one?
Again, with the upset with the Phillies, I think the Mets, regardless of who wins between the Padres and the Dodgers, might just take whoever wins from this. It is going to be a good matchup between the Padres and the Dodgers, and it's going to come down to their pitching. And I guess we'll see. But I do have the Mets overtaking whoever wins that.
Really? Okay.
I think so.
Yeah, a little bit of a hot take there. It's going to be a very exciting championship series. Timothy, I'll let you finish it off, though. There's been some surprises this playoffs. There's been some guys stepping up that maybe, weren't expected. Timothy, what do you think has been the biggest surprise of this playoff so far?
For me, it's got to be Detroit's bullpen. I mean, they've been rock solid all year, but they are just lights out right now. Credit to A.J. Hinch and getting his guys to buy in. He's called it this pitching chaos, but any reliever is in at any moment, right? And all of those guys have been able to step up when their team needed it most and have been able to shut down a very tough Guardians offense and even getting through Houston.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing to watch, and obviously we'll preview that championship series next week. But for now, we're going to go into the WNBA, who is just starting off their NBA Finals tonight.
I'm here to rescue you.
Oh, my prince.
Não sou fácil.
This story is going to be awesome.
Good evening, my name is Amanda Hasbell, and I'm joining you here today in the Union Parking Garage. Today we're going to be going over how to drive safely in the parking garage. Let's go see. Oh my God, this girl just got hit by a car. Let's go see what happened. Ma'am, are you okay?
Did you see that lady hit me with a car?
Yeah, we did. I got it all on video.
Oh my God.
Let's go over here and talk about how we can prevent that.
Yeah, not the hospital.
Well, right now we're going to ask you a couple questions on how we can drive safely in the parking lot. What are ways that we can be aware of our surroundings?
Oh, we can look both ways.
Jenna, also, how about putting the distractions away?
Yes, just like our phones, turning our music down, and also not focusing on our passengers.
Where can you get information on how to get a parking pass?
Transportation.unt.edu.
If you park in a garage, make sure you pay on the app or look for further instructions on how you should pay.
And remember, no pass, no park. Let's all try to keep our Mean Green community safe.
Remember, we're all in this together.
Drive safe.
Welcome back to SportsZone. I am joined by Emily Condry and Adam C., and we're going to talk some WNBA finals. It's been such an exciting season for the WNBA. Lots gone on. How are you feeling about this matchup? New York Liberty, Minnesota Lynx.
Well, I got to be honest. I got to go with the New York Liberty to start off. I think it's going to be quite a clear series. New York Liberty, a 3-1 win. Overall, I think they're the clear favorites for this series.
All right, so yeah, the Liberty got off to such a great start throughout the whole season. They're best team in the league, but knocking off the two-time defending champion Las Vegas Aces. Emily, do you think they're the clear favorites in this series?
I think they could be, but I'm honestly leaning a little bit more towards Minnesota for this one. They're the games that they've played against New York, they've won more than New York has. So yeah, I think New York has finished second in the 5 times that they've been to the finals, so they're yet to get that championship win. I think it definitely could be their year, but I'm kind of leaning more towards Minnesota.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to watch. Obviously, when you have the 2 best teams in the league going against each other, it's always going to be an exciting matchup. Adam, how are you feeling about these two? And who do you think is going to, you mentioned the Liberty, but who do you think is going to be the biggest X factor for each of these teams?
Okay, if I had to go for the X factor of each team, for one, I'm going to go with the Lynx. It's obvious. It is the runner-up MVP, Napheesa Collier. If she fails, that team fails. And she's also going to need a lot of help from Kayla McBride, Courtney Williams, and Bridget Carlton. She can't do this herself. Let's just put it like that. They are facing 2 former MVPs in the Liberty, as well as a great young player in Sabrina. And Sabrina and Brianna are the main duo that drives this team. But my X factor for the Liberty is not those 2. It's going to be Jonquel Jones. Okay. All right, and she's the 3rd contributor for that team. And if Jones can maintain steady scoring averages, it's going to take a lot of pressure off of Stewart and Sabrina. And in their 1 win this year against the Minnesota Lynx, Jones got 21 points and 12 rebounds. In the 3 losses they had, she averaged 5.3 points. In my opinion, that shows that if Jones is on, that team is going to beat the Lynx quite easily. It really comes down to her.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of key matchups. Collier, obviously that really big name, averaging 30 points this playoffs.
Absolutely, practically carrying this Lynx team, to be honest.
So do you think, Emily, I'll go to you. Do you think she's the best player on the court in the series?
I do, yeah. I think Collier, she is just, again, like he said, runner-up MVP for this season, known as one of the best defenders in the league, also an insane scorer. So she's definitely dangerous going up against.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Adam, I'll go to you in just a minute, but this matchup. Her and Brianna Stewart, teammates at UConn. Brianna Stewart sort of had her number, though, through these years. What's it going to take for Collier to finally kind of get that big win and, maybe get some revenge on Stewart?
Collier's going to have to be physical. She is going to have to beat Brianna Stewart in the physical game. But also, the other thing that I think is going to be really important is another key matchup that I was looking at, Jonquel Jones versus Misha Hines-Allen. Yeah. Because there's a height difference there. Jonquel Jones is 6'6", Hines-Allen is going to be 6'1". I'm quite frankly not sure that this series is very honestly heavily favors the Liberty. You're going to have to see how they work against those matchups.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because you have these big names, but those little ones I think are really going to be key differences in this series. Emily, what do you think is the biggest matchup in this series?
I'd say definitely Brianna Stewart and Napheesa Collier. Yeah. I think that's kind of like the obvious one. Like you said, the smaller ones could make a huge difference, as they always can. Both stars at UConn where they played. They won a championship together at UConn in 2016 and a gold medal together in the Paris Olympics. So definitely they know each other very well, and I think it's going to be a really interesting watch.
And the thing is, we're also talking about a defensive player of the year in Napheesa Collier. And right now, we essentially have great offense versus great defense. Watch Brianna Stewart's footwork. If we can actually get those highlights again, genuinely check the footwork on Brianna Stewart. Collier's going to have her hands full trying to stop Brianna Stewart. But if she can, it gives the Lynx a very big fighting chance.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Stewart's such a weapon, and we haven't even talked about Sabrina Ionescu. Her three-point shooting's been incredible, but the way her offense has developed over the course of the season as more than a three-point shooter, I think is really being a big thing. Emily, do you think she can kind of be an X factor with those three-point shots?
I definitely think she can. I think that's a really big part. It's a big part of the game, obviously, but I think it's a big part of the team also, and I think she can make a really huge impact in this final series.
I agree there. I think Sabrina could be a huge X factor in the three-point realm. In fact, I think the three-point is going to be the story of this series because in the 3 games that the Liberty lost to the Lynx shot 48% from the arc. That is That is incredible numbers, to be quite honest with you. I mean, this whole series is going to be about the three, and I think you're going to see a lot from Sabrina, and you're going to see a ton from the Lynx as well.
Yeah, I'll let you expand on that. From the Lynx, who do you think is really going to be able to step into that big shooting role?
Who's going to be able to step into the big shooting role? I'm going to be honest. Right now I have Collier as their main scorer because she has pretty much carried the whole postseason. She has pretty much been the best player on the floor in every single game that they've played. And I think that could be the case for this series. However, I don't know if the Lynx can win off her back alone.
Yeah, there's little room for error, especially in these 5-game series. It's going to be exciting.
It's definitely a bit of a David versus Goliath, wouldn't you say, Stephen?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you look at this and you see the 1 and 2, and it's like, that's all right. That's, I think, a little misleading though. The Liberty are a star-studded, stacked team. It's going to take a lot from the Lynx, and it's going to be such an exciting matchup. I'll let you go again.
And the Liberty were also in the finals last year.
Yeah.
I mean, and the Lynx were not expected to be here. I know that, it says that they're seeking a historic 5th title. They haven't been there in a long time. They only have 2 lottery picks, which is a lot different from their past team, which had 5 lottery picks. They weren't meant to be here, yet they still are. And I think we're going to have a David versus Goliath matchup that could go the distance.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And Emily, I want to talk a little bit about coaching too. These are 2 teams well coached. The Lynx, they're going to have, like we said, their hands full. Do you think that coaching is really going to be another sort of X factor to really get this team over the top and playing together?
I do, yeah. Anytime, for any game it's really important, but anytime you're in such a huge matchup like a finals, like a championship, especially for Liberty, it would be their first championship, and then for Minnesota, it would be a historic championship, their 5th. So I think it's really, the coaching makes a really, really big impact on the team and also the players individually.
Yeah.
And I also think that the Liberty might have the coaching advantage just from experience purely because they were in a finals last year. New York Liberty knows the pressure. They know what it takes to win a finals because they couldn't do it last year, and they really want to get that first. And I think overall, the experience plus the motivation to get redemption for last season is going to be a big factor for the Liberty here in this series.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. And so let's do it. Let's do some predictions. Emily, best of 5 series, who do you think takes this one?
I think it's going to 5 games personally, and I think Minnesota in 5, which is a little bit of an unpopular pick, but that's what I'm going to go with.
I love to hear it, Adam.
And I have to be honest here, as much as I would like the miracle story of the Lynx, I don't think it's going to happen. I think they actually win game 1, but they lose the rest of the games, and they lose 3-1 in the series. And it's just going to be a tough loss for them, but they'll be able to recover next season and possibly go for another.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Emily, I'm going to agree with you. I think it will go 5, though I do think the Liberty do take this one. It's going to be interesting, but they just have so much star power. It feels almost like a Cavs Warriors type of thing. Can Collier be that LeBron? That's going to be the question for this team, and it's going to be exciting to watch. Adam, what do you think?
It really comes down, and in my opinion, it comes down to that key matchup of Jonquel Jones versus Misha Hines-Allen or Alana Smith. Yep. She outsizes them both. She is 6'6", Hines-Allen is 6'1", Smith is 6'4". It's going to be a very hard matchup, and as we saw earlier in the season, when Jonquel Jones goes off, it's a pretty easy win for the Liberty. So really, to my opinion, it's going to come down to her and her alone.
All right, yeah, it's going to be such an exciting series. Obviously, it's going to get going tonight. But I want to expand just a little bit on the broader WNBA. It's had a historic season. I'll start with you on this one, Emily. It's grown so much, and for so many different reasons. But what have you thought about the growth of the WNBA, and do you think that's going to continue going forward?
I think it's wonderful to see. Women in sports don't get as much coverage as men do, so I think it's great to see people kind of coming into it more. I think it was affected a lot by players like Caitlin Clark, who brought the fans from college. But I think it will continue to grow steadily, but obviously not as intensely as it has grown this specific season. But I do think we're looking at kind of a WNBA, like it's going to keep increasing, definitely.
And the thing is, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese aren't the only players.
Absolutely.
That whole South Carolina team is going to bring a lot of eyes to this league. And I also think that Dallas is going to get more involved because we are in the lottery. We also have a pick swap with Chicago. If Chicago gets a higher pick than us, we are going to move up. There is a very real chance that the Dallas Wings could have Paige Beckers. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not, because nothing good ever happens in Dallas. But I'm just saying, I think I'm just saying, Dallas is going to get another good player this year, and I think that the city of Dallas is going to get more invested into the Dallas Wings.
Yeah, I would love to see that. It's going to be exciting to watch. I'm so excited to see how this league continues to grow going forward. And yeah, hopefully the Wings can really get involved as well. So we're going to have to move on, though. Talk about, seeing our teams. Talk about some TV deals, and that's coming up right next.
Did you know you have access to video equipment like DVDs, video games, and cameras? That's right, you do. Come on down to Chilton Library and fulfill your media dream. Located on the bottom floor next to the student sculpture. Hope to see you there soon. Hey girl, you know you look good. I like the way you move and groove. I'm not sure.
Why should you join Talons?
We are very welcoming to people who may be a little bit hesitant. There's people currently right now in our organization who are in leadership positions who were hesitant before to join, and they found out that they just loved the organization and wanted to be a bigger part of it. They post about the football games, everything they're doing, all their events that they host.
What's the best part about Talons?
I would say meeting new people, because the university, while it's a kind of small campus in terms of like physical land, there's a ton of people here. And so getting to meet all these people who have so much school spirit and love for this university and want to spread that to other people, it's kind of like a little miniature family that we're in.
Are you behind on your credit hours? Got more time on your hands this winter? Then you need to sign up for winter sessions. Do not delay, sign up today. Visit registration.unt.edu/winter session for more information or see your advisor.
Your host, Steven Lucero. I'm joined by Nick Volpetti and Gunnar Talbot, and we're going to talk some TV broadcast deals. There's been so much going on, so much changes lately, but I want to start with you, Nick. What have you thought about the state of broadcast deals and where that's going forward?
I think it's gotten a little bit chaotic. I mean, like sometimes it's hard to really know like what streaming service a game is going to be on, what channel a game is going to be on. There's so many different options to watch games, so many different networks and companies that have bought in, that have spent a whole lot of money to broadcast things like NFL games, MLB games. So I think that in a way it's been beneficial because it's allowed some more access to fans in some cases, like Victory Plus. We'll get to that a little bit later. But I think it's just been kind of chaotic in general.
Yeah, it's definitely been chaotic to say the least. Gunnar, what are your thoughts on the state of the broadcast situation right now?
I like where we're moving for the future. We're starting to get some deals done. We've seen in the past there's been some trouble with Bally Sports and other, there's been trouble with access. There's sometimes like I can't even watch a Mavs game, like a local Mavs game. So I'm glad that we're moving to a new direction as a city.
Yeah, definitely. So I want to start with the Stars. We'll get through all the teams really because there's been a lot going on. But Victory Plus, brand new streaming service, free for local market teams or for local market fans. It's definitely going to be interesting. Finally, we can watch these Stars games, right? It's other than just national TV. Nick, what are your thoughts on Victory Plus?
Honestly, I think Victory Plus is going to be a great change here for us sports fans in Dallas who love the Stars. Bally Sports was always, it was kind of like you had to have cable in order to watch the Stars, really. And for some people, cable's not a viable option. So I think that being able to just go online, search up Victory Plus, being able to just watch the Stars whenever you want, really, just for free. Like I said, just go on Google, search up Victory Plus, make your account. I think it's just, it helps it makes the Stars a lot more accessible to fans, which is always a positive change.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think anyone here is a big fan of Bally Sports. Being on that DirecTV Ultimate package, it was like $95 a month. For most people, that's just not affordable. Gunnar, what are your thoughts on Victory Plus, and how do you like this new direction the Stars are going?
I really love this new direction. For the longest time, I couldn't even watch Stars games because I never got Bally Sports, and I couldn't really find the local games unless it was a nationally televised game. But I like that we're moving to a new direction. We're giving it access to people. This way, people don't have to, spend the massive premium on Bally Sports, or they have to revert to other ways like illegally streaming it. But this way, we can watch it on Victory Plus.
Yeah, for sure. And Nick, I wanted to ask you though, Victory Plus, it's definitely a brand new thing, brand new app, kind of experimental. The Stars, I think the Ducks also doing it. But do you think that this can hold up going forward? Obviously, really relying on those advertising, it's not the traditional TV deal. Do you think this can hold up going forward?
Yeah, like you said, I mean, it's not traditional. Usually you'll have teams and companies charging like a monthly subscription to get their funding and to keep that up. So honestly, I'm not a financial expert. I don't really know. I think we'll have to just kind of look at how this first year goes, like you said, with the Stars, with the Ducks, with sort of an unprecedented thing, having a completely free service that, like you said, is relying on advertisements rather than like fans paying a monthly subscription. So I'm not really sure how it'll go, but I really hope it goes well because having a free service is great.
Yeah, so do I. I am truly excited to watch. I mean, it's definitely going to be exciting. And then I want to move to the Mavs, doing sort of a different direction, going with the ABC, local station, but sort of the same deal. Mavs fans get to watch their games for free, just on regular local TV. Gunnar, what are your thoughts on this change?
Oh, I love this change. Personally, over the past few years, we've been good, but I haven't been able to watch like a lot of our good games because we were never good enough, a big enough market team to get those nationally televised games unless we were playing teams like the Lakers or the Warriors, the Clippers, right? But now we're going to tune into every local game. And I would like to give a big shout out to Matt Ashiba, right? He's the owner of the Suns, and he kind of started this trend, especially the NBA last year. And May of 2023, he cut ties with whatever their local provider was, and now gave it to local TV, right? And then go a step further, what he also did was they gave out free antennas. So on their website, any Suns fan that went on their website and applied for a free antenna, they would deliver the antennas. And I challenge the Mavs could kind of do something like that too, because now that we're putting it on local TV, we have new owners, they have money, we have the money to do it. So I think that would be a great thing for the city and for the fans.
Yeah, absolutely. You pull out those bunny ears and you can watch for free. I mean, that's, I think, really a dream for fans. Nick, what are your thoughts on this move for the Mavs?
Like Gunnar said, I really think it's a great chance. I think it's going to be great for Mavs fans. Like we talked about earlier, Valley Sports, it was hard to get for Dallas sports fans. You were talking about you couldn't even really watch the Mavs, and that's such a shame. I mean, so many people here in Dallas love the Mavs, love Luka and all those great players in the Mavs, and it's such a shame that people weren't able to watch them. And having them right there on ABC, I think it's going to be great. It'll definitely help more people able to watch the Mavs.
And I would also like to say, what better time? As the Mavs, we get Klay Thompson, we went to the NBA Finals. We're supposed to be a good team this year. We have a lot of hype, and now this is only going to boost fans. Now everyone can watch it. What a better season.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Obviously, get Klay Thompson, all these new players, high hopes for the Mavs. It's going to be exciting for the city to finally be able to watch all these games. And, I think that was really the big complaint a lot for the Rangers, last year, going all the way. It's a 162-game season. I feel like I watched 5 regular season games because that's all that was on national TV, And that's really been a big thing, especially for Rangers fans. Such a long season, but you can't watch the games. So that's definitely been frustrating. The Rangers haven't announced what they're doing yet. They have announced for sure they are cutting ties with Valley Sports, so I think hallelujah to that. But, it's going to be definitely interesting because the Rangers, what are they going to do? Are they going to do sort of a Stars type of move, maybe a Mavs type of move? We don't know. Gunnar, what are you hoping the Rangers do here?
Well, I think first I would like to issue the Rangers, you got to be cautious, right? The MLB is different than the NBA. It's different than the NHL. They rely more heavily on TV deals. I have the numbers right here. MLB is 23% of their profit is made through TV deals. The NFL is 1%. NBA, NHL is 10, 11%, right? So they need to be careful. Now, I heard the Rangers, they were in talks of giving local channels. They might make their own channel, might make their own little streaming service. So I think any of those options could be a good choice. Just getting away from Valley Sports is the best thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But it's going to be important. Like you said, it's a little bit different in the baseball landscape. Nick, how do you think Texas is going to handle this?
I agree with you, Gunnar. I think that either one of those two approaches would be good. The great thing is that Valley Sports is gone. We don't have to deal with Valley Sports. We don't have to deal with Valley Sports anymore. But yeah, if the Rangers decide to make a deal with a TV network like ABC, like the Mavs did, or if they decide to make a streaming service like the Stars did, I think I would prefer if they went with the Mavs approach because I think more people would find it easier to just click a channel and be able to watch the Rangers, a channel that's a lot more accessible than Valley Sports, hopefully.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I hope they do.
But yeah, I think that's important, that accessibility, and that's I think been the one big complaint with these streaming services is there's so many, whether it's sports or entertainment, there's so much, keeping up with subscriptions, all of this, it's crazy. And ESPN launching yet another one, Venue Sports, going to be a combination Fox, Warner Bros. But there's just so much now in this landscape that's changed. Getting away from cable but into streaming, is it different? Is it better? Or is it just sort of a different version of cable? Nick, I'll go to you on this one.
Honestly, I got to take cable.
Okay.
I think that it's just so much easier to just have it all right there, like it was 10, 15 years ago before all these streaming services started to come in. Even 5 years ago, I think it was better than it is now. if you want to watch every NFL game, you got to have Prime Video, you got to have Peacock. I think even Netflix is getting
Netflix is
like
getting the
Netflix.
Christmas game.
I mean, come on, like it's just getting ridiculous. All these streaming services you have to be able to watch just the in-market games like Thursday Night Football. Like, why can't we watch Thursday Night Football without a streaming service? Like, I think it's gotten ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a lot to keep up with. Nick, what are your thoughts on the streaming versus cable argument?
Well, maybe call me old school, but I hate this new streaming. Like, maybe I don't like change, but like Nick said, especially when it comes to the NFL, you have to buy Peacock Premium. You have to buy Amazon Prime. You have to get Netflix. You have to get all these stuffs. And it's like, back in the day, I remember being a kid, it's just like you turned on Dish, you had all those channels right there. You could watch the games. And now, it seems like every year, every season, the NFL signs a new agreement, signs a new deal with a new streaming. And I get it, it brings more money in, players get played more, we saw that with Dak. Everything's going like this for the NFL. And money-wise, it does make sense, but just for the fans, they're kind of leaving us behind.
Yeah, and I like what you said there. Obviously, the money, it drives the world, unfortunately, and it's going up for these organizations. But the fans, they're getting left behind here, I think, in a way. Nick, how are you feeling from a fan standpoint here?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that they're prioritizing money over the fans. Like you said, money drives the world. I mean, you got to think about money. You can't just completely not think about money, but I also think you have to think about the fans. I mean, we're the people who keep these sports going also. I mean, we buy the merch, we watch the games, which helps the ratings, which helps them make money. Like, I think you just have to think about the fans, and if you want to keep fans engrossed in your product and consistently engaged in your product, you have to think about them more than they are.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the fans, for us, it's number one. The viewers, the audience, that's what's important, and I hope that they will take that, into consideration. But hey, you guys are important to us. Just know that. We will see you guys next week. That's going to do it for our show. Thanks so much for watching. Feel free to follow our socials at NTTV Sports, but also feel free to stick around for NTTV Nightly News.
You off, right?